want to try to capture it if we can. Oh, God, I wish I could get this thing to... Okay, so this is day 2 of the career retrospective. I thought what I might do is read some selections from my... Oh, God, okay, hold on. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to have to turn this light on. How's that look? I thought I'd read some selections from myself included, you know, trying to sort of emphasize the retrospective. I thought we'd go back in time. And so this video is from 2017. This is my Ohio diary from a work trip I took there in 2017, if you can believe it, almost 6 years ago. Look, there I am. Maybe I should stand. David Crosby died. Jeff Beck died a few days ago, and now David Crosby. Seems like, I mean, you know, that generation's getting older, obviously. The rockers. That's a lot of rain. But it does seem like some of the world's foremost troubadours are passing. David Crosby, I mean, I'm not that familiar with, you know, specifically, you know, I don't listen to Crosby, Stills, and Nash, really. I'm sort of familiar with the Byrds. He's got a very active Twitter presence. It's always weird when somebody with a super active Twitter presence... Look at me. With a super active Twitter presence passes away. Because it's one of those things like, oh, he was just here. I gotta get some of this lightning. It's just too good. Let me just get a little bit of this. This rain and lightning. We can even get the mirror of the projector, so... It's not a bad angle, really. You get the image here. So yeah, David Crosby. It was unexpected. I mean, there was nothing on Twitter really that indicated he was gonna die. He basically said he was about to go in and do a new album. He was talking. I read it. I read the fucking tweet. I don't follow David Crosby, but it was one of my suggested topics. Fucking Twitter seems to have, like, you know, a limited number of topics that they want you to, you know, like all of these big apps, if they can group you in communities of interest, they want to glom groups of people together. So I get, like, Bob Dylan is constantly a suggested topic, and then Tim Heidecker. These are, like, the things, I guess, that are relevant on Twitter or active on Twitter that are near remotely my areas of interest. Classic rock figure. So it was trying to hook me on David Crosby. You know, David Crosby was okay on Twitter. He was kind of... He's like the ultimate kind of picky hippie. You know, the hippies are weirdly like Karens in a way. Like, when you go to San Francisco, you get this vibe that, like, everything is super, like... just nitpicking and you know, don't harsh my mellow, man. Like, you're really, like, not doing this in, like, a groovy way, man. Like, that's kind of David Crosby's vibe. He's kind of yeah, there's that lightning. But anyway, rest in peace, David Crosby. I was listening to some of his harmonies with Graham Nash, or was it Stephen Stills? I don't know. There's me, my brother, and my dad. So yeah, I'm going to read some selections from myself included. I just wanted to get some of the lightning, some of the thunder and the rain here, because it's so, such a natural phenomenon. I mean, Mother Nature is really putting on a show here. You know, I'm just trying to spend time with the apartment. There's my brother. He had this picture of the Last Supper over his sink. He's had this in multiple apartments, except everybody's black. Like, Jesus is black, all the apostles are black. Pretty accurate, I would say. Pretty historically accurate depiction, unlike the Leonardo da Vinci. Uh, so yeah, this is a video from 2017, which a lot of the poems from myself included, and so I'm doing the Matt Proctor Festival of the Arts. I've got readings planned. I want to do a talk piece in person in the apartment. The open mic is going to be really exciting this week. We've already got Matthew Silver signed up. Hopefully he'll show up. And we also have got Billy Cancel signed up. So we have two of the world's foremost performance artists on the open mic. Pretty crazy. So that's going to kick off the birthday week. Matthew Silver, I figure we'll put on to kick off the birthday week. So you do not want to miss January 23rd open mic. And so it will start January 23rd and go through to the 30th. I want to get System Lord for January 30th and do a real blowout on the 30th. So my birthday's the Friday. I'm going to do a party on my birthday. Have a bunch of people read, show some videos, shows, you know, I want to do screenings, you know, show scenes from a life, maybe over a series of nights or something, maybe all next week, do screenings every night of scenes from a life, but these are the live streams. This is sort of the initial archival, not that people are watching them, although it's raining outside. I don't know if people are out tonight or what, but in any case, the live streams are part of the festival. I'm going to do stand-up comedy, of course. So I'm trying to touch all of the... It's too bad we don't have a System Lord gig. That's why I got to get them on the open mic. But I got to touch all of the... I got big news at work today, so I'm going to get paid for the open mic. So big moves, big things are happening. We're talking about booking some other shows that hopefully we're going to get paid for. So hopefully within the next couple of months, I will turn this into a job where I'm making, you know, $400 a week just hosting events, open mics, what have you. All right, I think the lightning is probably just about all done. Maybe I'll flip it back around. I'm getting hot from sitting on the radiator here. The radiator. I ate grilled cheese off the radiator. All right, I'm going to flip it around. If there's any more lightning, I'll go back, but I do just want to kind of focus on the image here. This is back when I would do the talking heads for the videos. I don't know if people really check out the old Scenes from a Life videos, but they were definitely more edited and more kind of produced. Not that I ever broke through. I mean, if you click these videos, they've got about 12 views or something, if that. So nobody ever really, I mean, am I just creating a cult? Like, are the only people that give a fuck about my show the people who are on the show? Is it like a pyramid scheme in that sense? It's like, yeah, you'll be a fucking star. Just sign up for this. Sign up for Scientology. Drink the Kool-Aid. I'm the L. Ron Hubbard of the literary scene here. I need to start it. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Have I ever farted on the live stream? I bought these dark chocolate covered raisins. I love Raisinets. It's like my favorite food. It's my birthday week, and during the birthday week, of course, you get to eat whatever you want. Look how much the world has changed. Here we are, 2017, walking to the fucking Dollar Tree in German Village behind Jackson. Well, I guess it's Marion Village. He had the greatest townhouse. He had an entire townhouse. It was like $600 a month. I mean, there was a meth den next door, but who cares? That is character. They were nice people. He had a yard. He had a clawfoot bathtub. He had a washer and dryer. Dollar Tree within walking distance. I mean, I would move there. I could run a literary empire out of that place. If I wish there was an equivalent in the East Village, I would move in right now. So yeah, myself included. This is a selected, basically. Well, it's more or less a poetry book of poems from 2014 or so, 2013, 14 to 2018. This I this came out, meaning I really didn't put out this many copies on my birthday, 2019. The copyright is 2019, but the poems are really all 2014 to 2018. And I put it out on my birthday. I didn't really put it out because it was Trump era, and for one thing, I just thought my work from that period was not necessarily strong enough. I felt like I could never really finish poems the way that they needed to be finished or whatever. Um, but also, I sort of edited certain things out. If you get my sex book, the Frankly Fabulous book, it that tells the whole story. This book is kind of incomplete, myself included, because I took out my sex poems because they were too racy for the Trump era. I didn't want people. That was my Mr. Rogers move, by the way. Changing my clothes. See, this is the back of his townhouse right here in Marion Village, Columbus, Ohio. The cultural backwater that it is. Not really. I mean, Columbus is right down the street from this is $2 Radio headquarters. They've got a beautiful little like coffee shop cafe sort of. They serve food with a bookstore with like a performance event space. Literally right down the street on Parsons, which is where the Yellow Cab Company was a long time ago, I think. Parsons is an interesting street. I mean, now it's like not great, but it's got good bones. That's where a lot of the bluegrass and shit, I guess, was like in the 60s. German Village was like hillbilly because it was the South End. So people from Appalachia and Chillicothe and shit, that was like their point of contact with Columbus. So it was kind of hillbilly in a way. Case in point. But it's the best part of Columbus. I mean, it's the New York, it's the Greenwich Village of Columbus, really. Not that all of these poems. I mean, they're the poem specifically from this book. Let me read it. Ohio Diary is specifically linked to these videos. Like the beginning of this video, I talk about these diaries I got from the Mead. In the Mead is in Chillicothe. Those diaries, those Mead notebooks, were literally the notebooks that I wrote the Ohio Diary in. And the Ohio Diary was literally the first piece where I realized, oh, I could just lift things in order off the page, and like that can be a piece in and of itself. Kind of the real-time composition. I was sort of imitating what I had done in the Speed Chess poems. In these Speed Chess poems, what I did is I wrote sonnets as fast as I could, just like wrote 14 lines, and then I only took the best lines. And so I kept the shape of where the lines and stuff were and just took the rest out. So they're kind of floating on the page in an interesting way, like a chessboard. So the Ohio Diary was sort of like that. It was like I had all these diaries and I only took the best lines. And so it's like, it's really one of the first pieces I wrote, I would say, that like officially, was composed or corresponds sort of in a sort of real-time chronology with the video. They're named the same thing, Ohio Diary. Not that it was that purposeful or intentional. They don't really show the same things, but they were products of the same time and place. My poetry sort of started to be more about that. Growing out of the time and place where it was made. Look at me. There I am, the fuck boy. In the hammock. So this is Jordan's apartment. This is literally above a phone sex parlor. In that garage I'm laying on is a phone sex parlor. So it's an erogenous zone. There's nothing wrong. That's love. You know, they're love workers. They're not sex workers. They're bringing affection to lonely people. And so this is like an erogenous zone for the planet, Jordan's garage. And I mean, Jordan's apartment is so great. It's like on the top of this building. So it's like Cloud City. You just go over there, you do dabs. She's always got one of like her nursing friends. Some weird dude is like over there. You got to deal with him for hours. Jordan is super cool. We have a long history. She's like my oldest kind of like continuous I don't even know. If I lived in Columbus, maybe we would have dated at a certain point. Who knows? I don't know. She's one of those. I don't know if she would date me actually, but she's beautiful. She's a goddess. She's an amazing person. Total pothead, but just like amazing to talk to. She used to do Twitter more. I don't know if she does Twitter anymore. Maybe I just muted her or something. But the last time I saw her was in this same situation at the pandemic, like April or May 2020, because I was staying with my mom in Clintonville. Jordan lived, so I went over to her place, hung out on the roof, and I was paranoid about COVID, so I think that's the end of that video. Yeah. Maybe I'll just jump around kind of randomly. I guess I should read the fucking Ohio Diary goddamn poem, shouldn't I? This might be a good one. So I'm gonna read the Ohio Diary. This is from a different time, a different trip. This was a couple months previous, but in any case, Ohio Diary. So this is Jordan's house again. There's her dogs. She's like a Jedi. She's got a Star Wars tattoo. She's got like the rebel icon tattoo. Ohio Diary. Skipping out to buy rain and more beer. Frayed the way he described it. This music's so good I'm stroking out. Wherever I was and its consequences. I was busy with pussy, a round lawn in brown. It's the front yard. We were all bimbos at the table, blowing dabs and digging in. A 4th of July went off where none typically occur. My gut was a walked sky. She jumped and sparkled, a dazzle crackled, a fizz rose. I've written poems here before, but this one again and again and again. It surprises in its decisive repetition, making me wonder aloud, where can we eat next? So this line about I am busy with pussy is not even in this book. I took it out because when I first got these books, there's Jordan. My ex, who I lived with, it was my birthday, and she found it, and she goes, I am busy with pussy, and she threw it on the floor. My Uncle Pat had just died a few days previous, too. It was like a weird energy. So I took out the line about I am busy with pussy. During the Trump era, of course, the pussy grabber era, it didn't feel cool necessarily to put that in. And to be honest, I probably use the word pussy too liberally in my poetry, definitely. And, but I also think the word pussy should just be like the word dick, in a way. Like, why should it be like that? I don't know. Not that it's my place to, make that proclamation or anything, but to some degree, I'm just like, it does feel still kind of like a bad word or something. So I'm just trying to normalize it, And I was busy with pussy. This whole thing about bimbos at the table blowing dabs and digging in. That is all Jordan's house. We're blowing dabs and digging in. The texture of our chronology is specific in its detritus. Sometimes you say things to my face that are so accurate. Mrs. Goodwell lives in the largest disgust uptown. Autumn done with authority. On with the failure of man. Respiratory skylights. I like the production that goes on behind my forehead. Say, hey, I was no genius, but I was there when the shit went down. A wash of rain is the tide of summit, the street I rest, not far from wonder. Was everybody looking at my dream without me? The cars brush some water off. This undefined town cries and cries. Plumbing pipe fitted within those skies. I don't need a moment to myself in the city of my family. And no poem is bad as long as you write it. Having time and inclination is the will, is the art. Someone saying no before you arrive and you get there anyway. It's drawn like a cross. Streets absolutely right angled are your mom's. The avenues are your dad's. My friends try to trash New York, but I live there and it's mine. I wait in bed to be inspired into joining the day already in progress. It's my first moment off since trawling from one fresh hell to the next. Basically a performance artist without the gall to call it that, or anything else for that matter. A failed child, mannered in a dream, behaving as an awkward tick in a series of disused reasons for living. The tree obtains world air in its pockets. I am between leaves at the moment. Jordan says when she calls to her dogs in the park in the morning, people think she is entering nature. So yeah, that's about Jordan's dogs. People think she is entering nature. So that's the Ohio Diary. It was just it was like a little chapbook. You know, it was like a little bit of a long reading the Joe Brainerd stuff, or back in Boston again. Joe Brainerd has all these travel journals that he wrote on like buses and shit. Where it's just these little kind of like, they're almost like tweets. You know, it's just like, here's a little moment and then a line and then another little moment and then a line. It's like, here was a little scene at Jordan's house. You have a little bit of New York in there. You have going out to buy rain, skipping out to buy rain and more beer. That's my brother's. That's the carry out behind my brother's house. Let me read this other poem that I wrote in Columbus. Vast occurrence at the summit. So this is about, my brother was a sound guy at this place called the Summit, which was like the kind of hipster. I saw Jonathan Richman there, but a lot of it was like metal bands. It was like the hipster bar. It'd be like being the sound guy at, like, I don't know, Union Pool or Alphaville. It'd be like being the sound guy at Alphaville. It's that kind of thing. It's like, my brother has scene cred. He's like Steve Albini or something. I'm more like, I don't know. I'm like Michael J. Fox. Vast occurrence at the Summit. Running sound for Pucarist. Mute output. Contribution to the eons. Here's the location of sound check. Surprising number of metal candelabras. Faux stone walls. Hanging ceramic billiard lamps. What's the purpose of an overstimulating context? Band's drummer quit just before the gig, so they play along to pre-recorded tracks. Not very metal. I think they're called audience. Clap louder when they fuck up. I sang Are You Lonesome Here Tonight? Are You Lonesome Tonight here once when it was a gay bar. There was a stage halfway into the room that's not there anymore. Jack says the iPhone sounds better than any real drummer he's heard here. iPhone core, he calls it. I wish I was as funny as Jack. I sang "Are You Lonesome Here Tonight" once when it was a gay bar. See, I was worried about using the phrase "gay bar" in a poem. Like, do I have a right to do that? Is that a pejorative term, or is that like, I don't know. These were such were the questions. So I never really read that poem too much. Running sound for Pukerist. The band was called Pukerist. I don't know. Is this even a poem? It's like, how do I get down the detail of what it felt like? How do I get down and how do I do it in an artistic way? Pukerist. That's something that I want to cherish forever. I think it's cool my brother's a sound guy at the summit. So at that point, it's like environmental. I'll hang out with him at his job. As a poet, that's what I do. I hang out with people. I sort of make little documentaries about them in my little notebook kind of slang or whatever. My kind of street lingo, patois, defaced. This was before I did acid, I think. Okay. Kombucha and weed. I'm glad I'm here. Want some pop? Arrows of vision click through vectors of interest, basically costing me my job. Zev's up in the air, forcing his burrito party on us. Pawns scream late afternoon back into itself. Le troubliste enfant of all. Splotches of leaves pause to consider, one after the other. The loft party's best kept secret. They've been having it 50 years and you just got there. It's pill in slow motion, hook shots tight to specify all depth. We're living in the double failure of whatever better idea somebody had. Paid here to sit and functify the afterburn. That was written after I did acid, I think. Not that that fucking matters. I don't know. I think these things do maybe like change your brain, sort of. I don't know. Do I want to get out of Ohio? Maybe let's get out of the Ohio shit. That's enough Ohio bullshit. Let's see. What would be a good... Oh, this will be... Okay, so this is the episode from my fucking birthday in 2016. So this... I don't know. I think, I kind of learned my lesson because my ego didn't go insane, but you'll see in this birthday, I had this big birthday. It was like Jerry Maguire's birthday. Or David Ames' birthday from Vanilla Sky, where he's got all these people, and it's like they make this tape that's like, happy birthday, David, and everybody's singing to him, and it's like this big, and it was nice. I like birthdays. To be honest... I haven't had a fucking birthday since 2020 because of the goddamn pandemic. And even before that, I was with my ex. Like I said, 2019, it was 2018. It was like those were kind of private. 2017, I think I had a gig. So this was really the last birthday I had that was like a big blowout. And I kind of learned my lesson in a way. I kind of learned like, okay, I don't know, don't be hubristic about it. Don't think that you're like floating on air or something, because like you're just a part of your friend group. You know what I mean? Like you're not anything more. At this point, it was like, the sludge was kind of like still really firing on all cinders. We were coming out of that New Year's party. My life was starting to get chaotic and dramatic. But having been through this experience, now I know, sort of going through the experience that we're in now, a little bit more how to navigate these things to keep them from exploding. For one thing, maybe don't have a venue / art collective in your fucking house. It's one thing when you can leave this stuff out at the venue and then come home to your respective places. That makes a big difference. So Yeah, this was the birthday I turned 31. It was right before the whole Trump thing. Let me see. Let me read this poem about. This is like Olivia time. So this is like an Olivia poem. This was summer 2016, but still, it's kind of around that time. Me as fuck right now. Last night she knew the real meaning of profound, the under the surface one, opposite of superficial. We blissed out, kissed a bit, nothing major. Walked many miles to get home to find they'd taken down her blue awning. Added another Nicholas Sparks book to the morning. But first, my journal, a plate of frittata, less organized, more romantic. Phone call after the gym, and I'm him again, high on likability. Unless we clock 2 hours a day, I'm incomplete. Soon they'll be going to Beacon, an edge at the beach, where white sailboats in the sun drawing her bikini on. Water slinks down shore to these halted resorts. The golf pants I just bought and dyed-in-the-wool Reaganites stipulating the boardwalks. I want to describe something that listens. A perfect night like this one. Give me a person to miss and make it be you. That's just a love poem. It felt slight. I was trying to include slang stuff. Me as fuck right now. Me AFRN is how it's spelled on the page. And I had made out with this girl who was Nicholas Sparks' editor. She talked about how he had a private plane and how she would like go on his plane and talk about like his books and shit. Talk and like edit, you know. There's my man Eamon. He got me acid for my birthday this year, which I did with my ex. I should have just done it by myself. Look at him, looking fly. He really, he got me this typewriter pin. He nailed it with the presents. Traumatic printemps. Playing chutes and ladders with the delivery guy's kid as I wait for Chinese food. Youth is my wealth, and I'm spending it slow. Tricking off the curb. Sunburn glowing through my thin white t-shirt. I'd watch a TV show of just the backyard if they had one. Vines sprinting up the cobbled wall, the trees lengthening protest. First ever Halloween I went as Peter Pan. Actually, it was a Robin Hood costume, but we were poor and they're both leafy and green, and that's kind of who I am even still. Divine ignorer, lying in bed, projecting movies on the ceiling, taking long essay walks as rain, dressed in a costume of rain. The mimes were in full silence, just listening to the devices, subtle as apples, intentional paranoia, or the monkey bars when you're too tall. Persimmon Remarks sat there, recording the approximate duration of the present moment, a night's stay in segmented pine. The box spilled a lake, and we only heard the footage of the words, grabby forest of them, legitimized in a printed edition of 150. The custom font installed was called Brandon Grotesque, which was only the most recent indication God's sadism is a form of acupuncture, pinpoint, and for our health. There's one poem I wish I would have put in here. It's called, It's Frank Talks Mistakes. It's, you know, like there's things that should be in this book. Even though this book is 200 fucking pages, I was trying to be careful. So I'd like to, you know, I only printed about 10 or 15 copies of this. It is extremely limited edition. I really only released it in Europe. This came out in Paris in 2019. That's where I launched it. with my European publisher because it was too obscene. It was too hot for America. It was banned. So it came out in Paris, and there does need to be a reissue. Someday when I hit it big, they'll put this out. I want this to be the cover of like my collected, myself included. I want that to be the title, and I want this to be like the design when I die. This is like my Leaves of Grass, myself included. It's the book. It keeps going. Olivia had written this short story about me. She made this diary, this red book. She made this somehow with like these rubber bands and shit. And she wrote this story in it and gave it to me. I mean, it was the greatest day of my life. What a blessing. My life has just been people writing things and reading them to me. What an absolute fucking heaven of existence. 1,000,000. I go to French moments of pain. Balmy autumns. I'm not the same, but who can tell? Being sad is a way of making it real. She started crying garbage. The fun pain fell. Her best noises. I felt like a child again. The littlest part of the room. Are love poems enough? These things felt slight at the time. This one poem, this Dramatic Printemps poem, I submitted to a Cosmonauts Avenue contest judged by Eileen Miles. Cost $10. And, my life has been a lot of rejection letters. I get published enough. I haven't been published in a while, but, like, it's not like I've never been published. I've been published, Ed asked me yesterday, he's like, do you think you're a good writer? It was kind of an insulting question. Certain people say I'm their favorite. I think that's meaningful. More than a few people have said I'm their favorite poet. So, whatever that means. I'm definitely the best stand-up comedian alive. I think there's no question about that. Maybe I should put on... Well, let me read... So this is Deep Park Slope. This is Deep Brooklyn. This is Deep 2016. I mean, these were tough years. I was developing a style. My style was kind of transitioning from this kind of long, Ohio, slow, sincere thing to like a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more New York school, right? Sleep tuition. I could die into this tortured yard, press my soul to the glass, and fail to resolve my downfall as it comes on wire through the air. I climbed my hometown on the wet banister of your arm. Charles Rocket said fuck on SNL, then killed himself after Dumb and Dumber. There's not much to say, but passage to a new day. I don't know what happens. Little cab taxis the tarmac. Little plane swims the dark lake. Little boat holds you as you cross a long water. That was one of the poems I had submitted to Long Island University, Lewis Warsh, when I got accepted to MFA program there. But that was spring of 2017. These videos are a little bit before that. These videos are from early 2016. I mean, it was hard being friends with Olivia because I respected her opinion so much and her poetry so much, and she was friends with all these uptown people, these Columbia people, which at the time was very intimidating. It was before I worked there. It was before I really knew a lot of people who had MFAs from there, which now I kind of do, or getting MFAs and whatnot. So this is my, this is the previous cult. Let's get in there so we can really see them. Whoever was watching stopped watching. Oh well. Do I look that much older? I really feel like I don't. I really feel like I look basically the same. There's my Make America Read Again hat. What a mistake that was. I thought it was so funny. Who the fuck knows? It's exciting to be back. I'm glad Trump is fucking gone. It's exciting to sort of feel like you can just do sort of what you want again. Okay, let me read some of these speed chess pieces, because they're kind of like from this period. I hope this is interesting to people. This is the career retrospective. I thought this might be kind of a neat way to do it. Bookshelf. Oh, fuck, okay. This is just what's on this hard drive, so let's see what's on this one. Bookshelf. Up in the old hotel where I'm calling from, the sweet cheat gone, the past recaptured, great days journey to the end of the night, hopeful buildings seeking air, the unbearable lightness of being. Within a budding grove, the subterranean's beloved black spring, a season in hell, inferno, nausea, torpor. Friends, you drank some darkness. Through the looking glass, gravity's rainbow, go Mrs. Dalloway, Madame Bovary, Emma, freely espousing the double dream of spring, the dream songs, the dream of a common language. Love uncut that April, talking, all's well that ends well, Crap's last tape. I've never gotten much of a response from that poem, but I really think it's one of my best. Because I was sitting there in my room at this house, staring at my bookshelves. That's all I had. You know, I was in the chair. My room was this big. So all I did was look at my fucking bookshelves all day. And it was sort of a Ron Padgett. I was trying to kind of do a Ron Padgett. Or it's a sonnet, and it's a cut and paste. It's just names of books. So the idea is, it's just the books. You know, the poem is a bookshelf. It's these books in this order. And if you read them in that order, it makes a poem. That's the joke. I don't know. I don't know if people get that, or... To me, it's a pretty fucking good poem. I hate my life. Can I write a poem to you? You seem like you deserve it. Oh, I gotta mention this real fast. I matched with this girl today. I don't know how I figured this out, how I put this together. I matched with this girl on Hinge today, because I've been retooling my profile a little bit to just see, you know. And so I matched with this girl on Hinge. I don't know how I figured this out, but I had been on a date with her like 10 years ago. We had gone to Fort Greene Park, and then we went to this Thai restaurant. I had a great time. She had been she had like worked for Kurt Vonnegut or something, which I thought was insane, because when did Kurt Vonnegut die? Like, it had to have been in the 2000s. So she had like worked for Kurt Vonnegut, and like she had been like runner-up for this fucking play with Jules Pfeiffer or something. I remembered all this shit. I don't know how I remembered that it was her, but we matched, and I mentioned this when we were messaging, and she didn't really remember going out with me. She didn't seem as enthusiastic about it. She said she'd changed a lot in 10 years. And I said, what do you... She had been on a date with Jonathan Ames. She had dated Jonathan Ames at one point. That was one of the topics of discussion. And so she unmatched me. I don't know. I was like not impressed that she didn't remember me, and she like wasn't she wasn't even enthusiastic that I had remembered all this shit about her, or that like how crazy is it that we matched, 10 fucking years later? Like, it's kind of a crazy. But, the reason why I remembered that is because, you have the aura of turkey bacon and avocado on arugula, which was the line. That was always my opening line on online dating. I always, every conversation, you have the aura of turkey bacon and avocado on arugula. Regardless, I copied and pasted that to every single person who I was attracted to. And to be honest, it usually worked. At the time. It doesn't work anymore. Maybe it was because at that age it worked. It was something my roommate said. I was looking for a line. We were like sitting in my room one day. I was looking for a line to like send a girl on online dating. He was like, it doesn't matter. Just say you have the aura of turkey bacon and avocado on arugula. And so I did, and look,